Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in. Winning cures everything. I'm Gary.
I'm Chris.
And we have got a lot to talk about. It is the Monday, March 30th edition of the show. As always, it is brought to you by Tunica, Mississippi, the South's premier sports gambling destination. They have got 6 incredible sports books that will be open at some point in the future. But if you want information on that, along with their incredible golf courses, which I looked up online, appears that they are open. Like, obviously, they are spreading out, where people are able to go and whatnot. But golf courses are open, all that, Tunica National, etc. Go over to tunicatravel.com, and you can find more information on all of that over there, when they'll open back up, the casinos and everything, and get all your information for the shows that will eventually come through town and all that, because I do believe eventually, now, I'm not going to set a date, but eventually everything will open up and everything will go back to normal. You agree with that?
Well, yeah, at some point in time we'll have normalcy.
Here's open. I got my fingers crossed. You can always find us over at winningcureseverything.com. Our website has all of our picks, previews, podcasts, videos, social media platforms, etc. I am in the middle of a revamp of that. We are switching a few things up. I'm changing themes. I'm redesigning the layout to make it look a little nicer while there's not really anything going on. So you can find our social media platforms. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We are on YouTube. If you have not watched over there, obviously go subscribe. You can do the same on the podcast as well. You can find all of that on the website. That's the one-stop shop. You can find it there. winningcureseverything.com. All right, Chris, let's go ahead and fire into today's first topic, and it is the biggest news that relates to live sports in this country as of right now, UFC 249, that we thought was kind of crazy that they were going to go on with this anyway, but April 18th, it was supposed to be at the Barclays Center in New Jersey. It was Tony Ferguson against Khabib Nurmagomedov, and now they were going to move it somewhere. They had not announced a date yet or a location, but it was still going to be on April 18th, pay-per-view, and I was really looking forward to it because there's been nothing live. There's been no live sports other than, Madden simulations and whatever else, right? Even FS1 is broadcasting Madden simulations, and have you seen the NASCAR thing that they're doing, like the virtual racing, like with the actual race car drivers? Anyway, so they're doing that, but yeah, this was going to be a big-time deal, and Khabib went on Instagram Live and had like a chat session with his fans and told everybody that he is stuck in Dagestan, Russia, like at home, because he went home because he was told that they were going to close down the borders in Abu Dhabi, which is where he was initially, because that's where he was told that the fight was 99.9% going to happen. So the issue there is the United Arab Emirates is going to close their borders, and Russia is closing their borders. So he can no longer get there. What that said to me, and UFC claims that they are, not claims, but behind the scenes, they are still trying to make this fight happen in Abu Dhabi, but they're trying to get Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje to fight. Now, it hasn't been agreed upon. It hasn't been finalized, but they are talking to both camps. Both camps seem willing to make this work. My question to you is, once Khabib drops off of this, why would you not just drop it? Like, I understand you want to get things going, but
the exact same reason you started your entire soliloquy about. We have no live sports. It doesn't matter who you put out there to fight. Everybody who's interested in fighting is going to watch. Every one of them.
Yeah.
Because they have nothing else to do.
This would be a fantastic fight, but you have been trying to get Tony Ferguson against Khabib. This was the 5th time this thing had been scheduled. And the first time Khabib dropped out, the second time Ferguson dropped out, both for injury. Third time Khabib dropped out for not a failed weight cut, but like it really messed him up. So he had to drop for health reasons. The fourth time Ferguson had to drop out for a knee injury or like a torn ACL, something like that. And then now the 5th time, it's not going down because of no reason of their own, at all. They were both ready to fight. If I were them, I would pick somebody for Gaethje as opposed to putting Ferguson against him at short notice. Because you want Ferguson, whenever everything opens back up, you want to make that fight. At least I think so. Like, am I crazy for that?
I think Dana White's just trying to get a fight in. He's just trying to get anybody who's willing to fight. That way, because I do think that it's going to be massive pay-per-views. I think it's going to be massive.
Depending upon who it is. I mean, if it's like Gaethje has never been worth.
See, but this is where we differ. I think it's a supply and demand situation. You started the whole argument off saying there's been nothing for a month, and we don't think anything new is coming for over another month.
True.
So if I can get anybody to fight, if you can find two bums, get them in shape, and throw them in a ring, people will watch.
That's true. That is true. I worry about it, if only because I want to see Ferguson and Khabib. That's the only thing.
You're not going to get that just because you don't. I mean, it could be 6 months from now you get it. Okay.
Yeah, I guess. That's the biggest issue is I would like to see Khabib Ferguson now, and I want to see McGregor fight whoever. Now the talk was that McGregor and Justin Gaethje were being looked at for a July pay-per-view in Vegas. And that is obviously not going to happen now. But that's being pushed back a little further. I would like to see McGregor Khabib again. I don't know that I'm going to get it at this point. Like, everything is just being pushed back too much. So much is going to change with the way that that the season started. Not the season, the year started. That's my only issue here is I want Ferguson Khabib first. And if it doesn't happen now, I don't know that it's ever going to happen. I mean, they tried it five times.
But that's a ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense.
It may just be me having wanted to see this fight.
It wouldn't happen
because it hasn't been able to happen 5 times. That's the thing. It's a cursed fight.
Weird things like you can't predict injury. So the first 4 are all 100% medical. Okay, there's nothing you can do about that. You just can't do anything about that. This is a total freak phenomenon that nobody foresaw happening really. Okay?
Agreed.
So it's not, I mean, it's just, well, we've tried it 5 times. Let's just quit trying then. Let's just not do it. I don't know. That didn't make any sense to me.
No, I understand where you're coming from.
If you have the capability of safely putting on a fight, okay, and not spreading any more outbreak and all the other things that they were going to do and they were going to protect it the way they were going to protect it, then there's no reason to not do that now because the big star of the fight can't make it. Everything else has been put into place. All the other wheels are put into motion. You don't stop the truck. It didn't make any sense. You change the tire and you move on.
And now the other side of this is if the United Arab Emirates closes their border to where they won't allow travel in and out, how are they going to make this thing happen? Like
the thing that you sent me, the article you sent me about this, I don't know if you actually watched that video or not.
I didn't watch the video. I just read it.
This thing's going to happen in America. They're not traveling. Nobody's traveling. They're limited to either fighters that are in America that can get clean, and they think they can get them to an area that's kind of been isolated. Like going back to Vegas might not be a problem now because nobody's in Vegas. I mean, it's the reason the NBA has kicked around the idea of taking over the entire city, moving all 30 teams there and saying, hey, ain't nobody else here. If we can get only people who are clean here, then there's no reason you can't make this happen. I think Dana White can find a place to do this fight, and I think he can do it right here in America.
The odds are, before all of this went down, so according to the article, Khabib had been told that it was not happening in the United States, which is why he left to begin with.
Sure.
Now, the odds were that the fight was going to happen, this is betting odds, that the fight was going to happen in Florida because everything was still open in Florida at the time.
That's right.
Now, the reason they can't do it in Nevada is because they can't get the fights sanctioned because the Nevada State Athletic Commission has said they are not sanctioning anything at all in the month of April. So you cannot have fights in the state of Nevada in April. So I don't know where they're going to do this. I think you're right. They will find somewhere to do it.
This is not a hard thing to do, especially if you're willing to do it in an empty place.
Yeah.
You just need a facility. There's a ton of empty college universities right now with a facility to hold this.
That is true. And it wouldn't matter where you do it.
one.
You just got to find somewhere to televise it.
Yeah. Well,
So-
any of those places are going to have the ability to hook up cameras and network to get this stuff shot up into space to a satellite and beam it back down.
No, you're right.
There's 500 college universities that have that equipment and facilities right now.
True. Very, very true. All right, you ready to talk some NFL?
Yeah.
Let's discuss Mike Florio's article at Pro Football Talk. It was titled, "Could an isolated coronavirus-free facility be the only way for the NFL to play in 2020?" This was interesting to me. Now, obviously, again, we're talking hypotheticals here, but this is something that has been discussed by the NFL brass. They are saying we can get every player from every team to a specific location and basically bubble them in. And one of the places that was brought up was West Virginia, the football facility at the Greenbrier in West Virginia, which has 710 rooms. They would have to build more fields, and basically they would build them all together in one spot so that they can televise all these games, and they would have rooms and buildings and whatnot for each team. This is a crazy idea, but with as much money as at stake with the NFL, I mean, you could see this happening, right?
Yep. Listen, my first thought was this small town. You find a small town that once again, like you said, university, someplace with the facilities. All right.
Yeah.
And with the places to house all these people. And you just make sure everybody's clean before they get in. And once you're in, if you're clean, it's not magic. It can't just come in on its own. And yeah, you just figure this thing out.
You put everybody in a bubble.
That town will do really well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think you're talking about the richest sports business maybe in the country, or definitely in the country.
Oh, 100%.
Possibly in the world. I know some soccer teams are worth more than the NFL teams, but they're not as organized. Okay. As a league, I wouldn't think. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, my thought, you said West Virginia, and I'm guessing somebody floated out there. I would do this. If I was Dana White, I'd be thinking the same thing. There's some place in North or South Dakota that you could go put this thing.
Oh yeah.
That has more than enough space, ample space. Nobody else lives there. You're not affecting people's lives. When you leave, you can demo those fields and put them back to prairies and whatever it is that you left. You know, cows used to graze there. Well, buffaloes can come back and graze when we're done. We'll put it all back, or you can keep it for football camps and whatever that facility wants to do. But you can find a place to do this. It's just the most important thing is team medicals have to be everybody from the television crew that's going to live there year round, the referees that are going to live there year round, the people commentating on the games, all that stuff. All of these people have to have cleared and clean medicals and be willing to move and live 6 to 8 to 10 months of their life away from their families, isolated in this one camp.
Now, this would be, let's say, August, I believe, is when training camp starts, through possibly the Super Bowl. I mean, you would hope at some point.
Training camp would start June. I guess OTAs and stuff go through June and July. And then, I guess the very beginning of August is
when the actual camp
season.
Yeah.
Preseason.
Oh, preseason. You're right. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean,
really, the first Sunday usually in September is when kickoff.
That you would have to build all of these facilities. You'd have to really start at least by the 1st of May.
I think they can, because they're not building stadiums.
But no. You're just building fields, but you would have to build facilities for the people to live in.
No, they have. They were going to go someplace like you just said, like West Virginia. They're going to go someplace that has the facilities.
Yeah,
They've
but
got
like
empty hotels. They've got empty hotels, empty college dorm rooms. They've got empty places for these people to live in already. I assure you, they can find a place with 1,000 rooms. That's not a lot of people. All right.
True. I'm trying to think, like 60 some odd players per team. You've got coaching
Plus
and support
medical,
staff
plus
of
coaches.
Yeah.
Then all of the league officials that have to be there and all this other stuff. But you're talking a couple thousand rooms. It's not hard. That's not big.
No, but it's
most college campuses are going to have that.
Yeah.
Because the only facilities they're going to make are fields, and they just need acreage. Then they just need flat land.
Yeah. And at that point, I mean, you're talking. Let's see, how many would you have to have going on? And this, like a lot of this would depend on whether or not college football happens, right? Because you could play some games on Saturday.
Realistically, you'd need 16, but then you minus out a Thursday night game, a Sunday night game, a Monday night game. You'd want an even number to get out. So if you subtracted 8 of those 6, so you'd need 8 fields. 8 fields, you can make this thing happen.
Yeah. I think you're right. So. I'll tell you this, as crazy as it sounds, I would actually like to see it just so that I can.
Right now, any way we can get the game so we can have some semblance of real life. Just think about all of this is a tragedy. This is different than an attack or a massive earthquake or
because it affects everybody. It's not just like one.
But we in our country have always come out of these massive things that affect the entire nation, an area, whatever, by using sports to reinstitute normalization and bring us back together. And right now we're going through this. Now I would tell you a super small percentage of our population is actually going through stuff. The rest of us are sitting on our ass on couches. All right.
Yeah.
Let's not act like we're heroes. Okay. There are some people working their butts off to fix this thing and to attack it and to fight it. But as a nation, I think it would bring us all back together in a way. It would be a positive thing if we could make it happen. Yeah. I don't think there's any negative to it outside of the fact that it'll just be weird. Okay, it'll be weird. But at some point in time, the players will get used to it and playing in front, it'd be like Pee Wee football on Saturday. You go down to the soccer fields and they got like 4 football fields in one soccer field, and my kid's playing over here, my nephew's playing over there, and it could be weird.
Yeah. I mean, it could,
but I think it could be fun.
I think it could be fun.
I think it'd be a good thing.
Oh, I think the television ratings would be astronomical. If everybody is still having to stay home, nobody can actually go to the game.
That's right.
It would be massive. Absolutely massive.
Yeah. Sundays would be must-watch television.
Oh, yeah. And for the most part, they already are. So let's move on from there, and we're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but this was a major topic over the weekend. The Sports Business Journal they reported that college football and the powers that be were looking at moving the season to July, August, and September, basically because they stated the coronavirus, at least in some tests, had shown that it would not be spreading as much in the warmer months of the season. Several states have already that was John Orand, by the way, that put that out there. Several states have already pushed their stay-at-home orders all the way through like June 10th, per Barrett Sallee. And he said at this point, there's no way that they will be able to do July, August, and September. And honestly, because they've already pushed stay-at-home orders all the way into June, it's going to be really tough for them to get started on time right now as it is. So how crazy is this idea of starting in July, August, and September?
I mean, it's a
hypothetical.
It's not real. Yeah, it's not realistic. This is one of the situations where I personally believe somebody made up a hypothetical story to report on so they had content because they have no other content.
Well, and nobody has come out in support of this. Bruce Feldman came out and tweeted about it. John Talty from AL.com. Several other college football personalities have come out and said, I've talked to athletic directors and, guys in these athletic departments, and none of them think that it is even remotely possible to have a season in July.
It's this because it's not possible.
Yeah.
Therein lies the issue. This is why when you sent me that, I was like, for next year, like maybe, okay, this year we don't get a season, but like, what will the new normal be? And let's just play it all in the summer. I was trying to figure out what, and then I was like, oh no, they think in like 2 months they want football. that would be that's not happening. It's just it's not possible.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't believe that here's why I even bring it up, right? Because John Orand is incredibly well respected, and he had to have heard that from somebody. Somebody talked to him about that. Otherwise, he wouldn't have put it out. Now, it may have just been one person, and it may have just been one idea that was brought to the table. I'm going to
need you to name names now.
That's
your reputation's on the line. This is not one of those situations where I get to cover a source. This source isn't worth covering. You burn that sumbitch to the ground.
Yeah, like I heard this from Gordon Gee, the president at West Virginia, or somebody.
Thought this was smart. And you know what? I'm going to tell you who I thought probably this could have easily came from Liberty University. We're going back to school. We're going back to school, and I think we can play in the summertime.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Jerry Falwell coming out the jalapeno. We're going to fix.
I didn't want to bring up much about Liberty, but you are 100% right. Now, you and I will eventually touch on the Liberty topic again. But yes, I could totally see that. If you talk
to an athletic director, maybe that's the only one that would, or somebody. But I can't imagine.
Well, you remember who their athletic director is, right?
No.
Ian McCall used to be at Baylor.
Oh yeah. The guy. That's right. That's right.
So yeah, they got some names over at Liberty. They got some dudes. So it is what it is.
Yeah, if you get fired and can't get a job because you're untouchable, go get a job at Liberty. We forgive everybody.
You got that right. Jerry Falwell, knocking it out of the park. All right, let's close on some. Let's do some RIPs. How's that?
Yeah.
Is that a good way of putting that?
Yeah. Sure.
We lost Bobby Hebert Sr. and Joe Diffie over the weekend. These were the two biggest names, at least to you and I. Bobby Hebert Sr., obviously the father of Bobby Hebert Jr., who's a television and radio personality in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, down in New Orleans area. And then his son, T-Bob, has a radio show in Baton Rouge that is absolutely fantastic.
That's right.
So Bobby Hebert Sr., he was incredibly well known down there. Everybody seemed to love him. I saw him on very few occasions, but he was 81 years old, and he did, in fact, die from the coronavirus. Yeah, that's the first big name that I saw, really.
That I recognized.
Yeah, that I really knew.
Say, okay, this guy's famous in somebody's world, but
he was famous in ours.
Yeah. This guy, if you follow college football in the SEC in the South, probably in the old Southwest Conference too, just like the old areas, you know who Bobby Hebert is.
Yeah,
and you know his family, even if you didn't know him because he played a long time ago.
Yeah, you knew Bobby Hebert Jr. and you knew
you know his family. You know those people if you are connected to LSU, which we are, and even you're not an LSU fan, you're an SEC fan. You still know all about who these people are. Yeah. You know exactly who they are. So, yeah, we finally got a name that I thought, which, kind of hate that you got it, but I was kind of wondering, all right, we get these death tolls all the time. Who are these people that are actually finally got somebody?
Yeah. And then you heard the people getting it because obviously Tom Hanks got it and Prince Charles and, so forth and so on. You've heard of people getting it, and they all seem to recover, right?
They all seem to be okay. But we know not everybody does. We know that. We just don't know who these faithless, nameless people are, which is sad, and it doesn't make their life any different than these people. But
it sometimes makes it more real for the public, right? Like when you put a name.
That's right. I think so. I think it gives it a face. I think it does. But the other one was Joe Diffie. And you and I, growing up,
90s country. Yeah.
90s country was what if you rode my mom's car, that's all we listened to. I mean, that's it. First concert I ever saw was Garth Brooks, and it was pretty incredible. Got to start off my concert peak pretty high.
That's about as big as you can get, man.
I saw a lot of shows that I was like, man, we paid money for this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those shows were great. I'm sure they were spectacular. They just weren't Garth.
Yeah.
And Joe Diffie was pretty incredible. One thing I thought of last night, got the news off Twitter, off the internet, and watching everything go by as my dog tries to rip my arm off here. I started going through like his catalog, and when you lose somebody like this, you start looking back. All right, let's get into some song. You know what I liked most about 90s country more than 90s country and hip hop in the 90s did the best job of telling the story with the song.
Oh, yes.
See, nowadays, and even way back, like the Beatles, man, they would come up with great famous songs would come up with a hook, and then they build a song around it. Like you'd have one line that was unbelievable, iconic, and you build a whole song around it. And the
rest of it didn't necessarily mean anything.
No, it didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
These guys would write, I mean, literally, like you could make Third Rock from the Sun. You could make like a one episode sitcom or like a television show or movie about it.
I'll tell you this. My wife she did not even know who Joe Diffie was until I started playing the stuff for her. And this was when we found out that he actually had it, which was only 2 days before he died.
That's right. No, his hit quick.
Yeah, it was real quick. The other one, by the way, we'll just mention this because he hadn't passed yet. But John Prine, who is one of maybe the top 5 songwriters of all time, is in critical condition in Nashville. So we are hoping well wishes on him. But we'll watched a video clip of Bill Murray talking about him about John Prine.
20 minutes before we went on.
Oh yeah, John Prine is something else. Just unbelievable. Anyway, so back to Joe Diffie. My wife had no clue of the name. She didn't know who he was. But she just turned 30 back in December, so that kind of makes sense. But we knew Joe Diffie, man. We knew John Deere Green. We knew don't prop me up beside the jukebox, all that. So when I started playing it for her, she knew. She knew what was up.
Yep.
So, these are timeless songs in the Joe Diffie stuff. I mean, honestly, like you don't hear a whole lot about it, but if you go back and look at my Spotify, you will see all of these different 90s country, John Michael Montgomery, that kind of stuff. You and I were talking about first concerts. You went to Garth first. My first concert was Alan Jackson with Pam Tillis opening and Aaron Tippin as the opener. Now, the second concert I went to was Brooks and Dunn, and Toby Keith opened that one. So, and that was Toby Keith's first album. And I was about to
say that was earlier.
That was I want to be a cowboy, So I should have been a cowboy, that whole thing. But yeah, at this, it's finally got a face for what this virus can do. And while sad, I think it is a good thing because it makes people take it a little bit more seriously. Like maybe I'm crazy about that, but
you're right. I mean, I kind of felt the same way. I was like, well, we have a face, we have a name, and I don't know that everybody in the country does, because I don't know what Joe Diffie's music meant outside of the South, but I know we know the South, and we're no different than any other kid or family that grew up in southern part of
Mississippi,
the country,
Alabama, Arkansas, Texas, Tennessee, all that,
absolutely
those areas. So
I made a three song list last night of the best songs that told a story. Okay, a story song. And I don't know if there's any order. I don't know if these are the 3 best, but these are just the 3 that came to my head, and I listened to them 2 or 3 times last night. One was Joe Diffie's Third Rock from the Sun, just an incredible story from start to finish, and the way it closes itself out, unbelievable. The other one is Bone Thugs and Harmony. Oh God. Oh my gosh, my brain just
Bone
died.
Thugs.
Bone Thugs and Harmony. Yep. Give me one.
It's
second.
the first of the month. Wake up.
No,
wake up.
not even
No,
close.
I know, but that's it.
Ghetto Cowboy.
Okay.
Oh, just if you hadn't listened, just iTunes it, Spotify. It's just a great. Tells a story, man. Tells a story. And then the last one was Reba McEntire's "The Lights Went Out in Georgia."
Oh, absolutely.
Just you're talking about a song that from start to finish just tells a story.
Oh yeah.
Those three songs tell stories from beginning to, they have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it's like watching a play act out, but you're just listening to a 3.5 minute song.
That's it. You bring this up, and off the top of my head,
I miss music like that. I really do.
Hey,
I like it when it takes me on a story.
Let me go on and tell you about some storytellers. All right,
Okay.
I'll go ahead now. You know about Blackberry Smoke, right? So I've let you listen to them. Yeah. They have a ton of fantastic stories like in their songs. So go listen to Blackberry Smoke. The other three, these are my all-time favorite singer-songwriter storytelling bands, okay? Bands, artists, whatever you want to call it. First, Lucero. They're from Memphis. Ben Nichols is an absolutely incredible storyteller. He's been doing like some Instagram lives here lately, but you need to go back and listen to the first Lucero album called Tennessee. It is unbelievable. That's not their first one, but it is the first one that was released on a record label. So, but yeah, Tennessee is the album. The next one, Jason Isbell. Now, Jason Isbell's Southeastern record helped me quit drinking at a time when I was drinking way too much and making a lot of really bad decisions. He was also in a bad situation and got sober. Now, obviously, I'm back drinking, but it is a much more healthy level than it used to be. I'm not drinking at 10 a.m. anymore, so like I'm feeling better about myself. But any Jason Isbell album is unbelievable, but Southeastern is by far the best storytelling album. The next is Will Hoge, and any Will Hoge album will take you on a journey. My favorite of all of them is Carousel. That was actually self-released by him before he released Blackbird. Go listen to the Carousel album. Obviously, it's on Spotify. It's on Apple Music, whatever. But Will Hoge, Jason Isbell, and Lucero are my top 3 storytelling artists of all time. Let's take that back. Maybe not of all time, because obviously you got your Bob Dylans and your John Pryans and your Dolly Partons and your Reba McEntire, all that kind of stuff. But modern,
they're good.
Modern last 20 years.
3 songs are the best 3 songs ever. There was just 3 that I remember.
Yeah.
I remember as soon as I started thinking about him passing away, my first memory went to that song, and my favorite part about it was how it told the story. And then my second memory was like, there were a bunch of songs that I used to like back then that told a story, and the other 2 were exactly what came to my mind. I went and immediately grabbed them and listened to them. I'm sure there's many, many, many more.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Garth has several.
There's fantastic.
You know, it's just, but it's something that I guess a lot of music. I don't think maybe I just don't listen to a lot of new music now, so I don't know if it tells a story or not. But
go listen to Jason Isbell
music
stuff.
In the
You'll
90s told so much of a story other than just singing a song.
Well, 90s country was more storytelling than modern country. Like modern country, the majority of it is very
hip-hop did it
based.
Too.
Yeah,
I mean, you know.
Hey, hip hop has changed a lot. Hip hop has changed a lot.
Yes, I know. No, I know. Hip hop doesn't tell a story at all anymore.
Well, now there's some, but you got to find the right groups, right? You got to find the right acts to be able to find it. But no, most of the time it's just, hey, here's something catchy that sounds good in the background while you're drinking in a party.
You get a hook and you build a song around it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying, listen, these people all have far more talent than I'll ever have, especially musically. That's just insane. But at the end of the day, I don't know. It's nostalgia for me because that's how I grew up. It's what I grew up listening to.
It depends on what your taste is, right? So, as a music, or at least a former musician, I'm not as much anymore, but I always took the responsibility of writing lyrics and writing music that made you feel something. Not like, let's have a good time always, because there were songs that you just wanted to write like, hey, the lyrics don't matter. This song is all about having a good time. Like there were other things that you wanted to make people think about, right?
Well, there are plenty of unbelievable songs out there in the world that don't tell a story, but they're just great songs.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Not just nothing wrong with that. Those songs are far more better than the 3 songs that I listed. These just do something different, and that one different thing that they do is something I like.
Agreed.
I like storytelling. I've just being somebody that grew up and I wasn't able to read until I got substantially older than most people that ever learned how to read, and the art of storytelling just always meant a lot to me. It's something that I always enjoyed. So when I heard a song tell a story, I was able to